Catherine Isao was born in Ukraine in 1898. She studied agriculture in Russia and Germany and received her doctorate in 1931 in the United States. She reported in an early publication that the curly top virus spreads through the plant via the food-conducting or phloem tissue. The Anatomy of Seed Plants by Catherine Isao was published in 1960 and was referred to as the Webster of Plant Biology. In 1957, she was elected to the National Academy of Sciences, becoming the sixth woman to receive that honor. In addition to this prestigious award, she received the National Medal of Science from President George Bush in 1989. Morphology of flowering plants. The root. In majority of the dicotyledonous plant, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of the primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute the taproot system, as seen in the mustard plant. In monocot plants, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system as seen in the wheat plant. In some plants like grasses, monstera and banyan trees, roots arise from parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots. The main function of the root system are absorption of water and mineral from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food material and synthesis of plant growth regulators. Regions of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled, and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to the region of elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structures called the root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. Modifications of root. Tap roots of carrot, turnip, and adventitious root of sweet potato get swollen and store food. Hanging structures that support a banyan tree are called prop roots. Stems of maize and sugarcane have supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of the stem. These are called as stilt roots. In some plants such as Rhizophora, growing in swampy areas, many roots come out of the ground and grow vertically upwards. Such roots called pneumatophores help to get oxygen for respiration. The stem. The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of the germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where the leaves are born are called the nodes, while the internodes are the portion between the two nodes. The stem bears buds, which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It conducts water, minerals and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation. Modifications of stem. Underground stems of potato, ginger, turmeric, zameen colocasia are modified to store food in them. They also act as organs of perennation to tide over the conditions unfavorable for growth. Stem tendrils which develop from the axillary bud, are slender and spirally coiled and help plants to climb, such as gourds, cucumber, pumpkin, watermelon, and grapevines. Axillary buds of stems may also get modified into woody, straight, and pointed thorns. Thorns are found in many plants such as citrus and bougainvillea. They protect plants from browsing animals. Some plants of arid region modified their stem into flattened, example opuntia, or fleshy cylindrical, example euphorbia, structures. They contain chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis. Underground stems of some plants such as grass and strawberry etc. spread to new niches, and when older parts die, new plants are formed. In plants like mint and jasmine, a slender lateral branch arises from the base of the main axis and after growing aerially for some time, arc downwards to touch the ground. A lateral branch with short internodes and each node bearing a rosette of leaves and a tuft of roots is found in aquatic plants like pistia and acornia. In banana, pineapple, and chrysanthemum, the lateral branches originate from the basal and the underground portion of the main stem, grows horizontally beneath the soil, and then comes out obliquely upwards, giving rise to the leafy shoot. The leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristems and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral, small leaf-like structures called stipules. In monocots, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole helps to hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blades to flutter in the wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina, or the leaf blade, is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein, which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and acts as channels of transport for water, minerals, and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and the extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The arrangement of veins and veinlets in the lamina of a leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. Leaves of dicot plants generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of most monocots. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised the incision do not touch the midrib. When the incisions of the lamina reach to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of a petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflets of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. In a pinnately compound leaf, the number of leaflets are present on the common axis, the rachis, which represent the midrib of a leaf as a neem. In palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached to a common point, that is at the tip of petiole, as in silk cotton. Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite, and bold. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. In opposite type, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other as in Calotropis and guava plants. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a wall, it is called walled as in Alstonia. Modification of leaves. Leaves are often modified to perform functions other than photosynthesis. They are converted into tendrils for climbing as in peas or into spines for defense as in cacti. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food. In some plants such as Australian Acacia, the leaves are small and short-lived. The petioles in these plants expand, become green and synthesize food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as pitcher plant, Venus flytrap are also modified leaves. The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of the flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets developed into a flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescence are defined, racemose and cymose. In racemose inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. The cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order. The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperms. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel called thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only stamens or only carpels is unisexual. In symmetry, the flowers may be actinomorphic, radial symmetry, or zygomorphic bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example, mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. Example, pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric, irregular, if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4 or 5 respectively. Flowers with bracts, that is reduced leaves, found at the base of the pedicel are called bracteate, and those without bract are called ebracteate. Based on the position of calyx, corolla, androecium in respect of the ovary or the thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. In hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flowers is said to be superior. Example, mustard, china rose and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior. Example, plum, rose and peach. In an epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus grow upward enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in the flowers of guava and cucumber and the ray florets of the sunflower. Parts of a flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral whorls, that is calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, sepals united or polysepalous, sepals free. Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually bright colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may be also camopetalous, petals united, or polypetalous, petals free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in length. Corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped, or wheel-shaped. Estivation. The mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl is known as estivation. The main type of estivation are valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. When sepals or petals in a whorl just touch one another at the margin without overlapping, as in Calotropis, it is said to be valvate. If one margin of the appendage overlapped that of the next one, and so on, as in China rose, ladyfinger, and cotton, it is called twisted. If the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation is called imbricate. In beans and pea flowers, there are 5 petals. The large standard overlaps the 2 lateral petal wings, which in turn overlap the 2 smallest anterior petal, that is keel. This type of estivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceous. Androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed, and each lobe has 2 chambers, the pollen sacs. The pollen grain are produced in pollen sacs. A sterile stamen is called a staminode. Stamens of flowers may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous as in the brinjal, or epiphylous when attached to the perianth as in the flower of lily. The stamens in a flower may either remain free polyandrous or may be united into varying degrees. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundle, monoadelphous as in China rose, or 2 bundles, diadelphous as in pea, or into more than 2 bundles, polyadelphous as in citrus. There may be a variation in length of filament within a flower as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of 1 or more carpel. Carpel consists of 3 parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which it lies elongated tube, the style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. Stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is receptive surface for pollen grains. Each ovary bears 1 or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than 1 carpel is present, they may be free as in lotus and rose and are called apocarpus. They are termed syncarpus when carpels are fused as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovary matures into fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, and free central. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary and the ovules are borne on this ridge, forming 2 rows as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial as in China rose, tomato, and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovule develop on the inner wall of the ovary and or on the peripheral part. Ovary is one or chambered, but it becomes 2 chambered due to the formation of the false septum, example mustard and argemone. When ovules are borne on central axis and septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is called free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower and marigold. The fruit. The fruit is a characteristic feature of flowering plant. It is a mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called a parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or pericarp and seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into the outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as drupe. They develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp and a middle fleshy edible mesocarp and an inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. The seed. The ovules after fertilization develop into seeds. A seed is made up of a seed coat and an embryo. Embryo is made up of radicle, an embryonal axis, and 1 or 2 cotyledons. 1 cotyledon as in wheat and maize, and 2 cotyledon as in gram and pea. Structure of dicot seed. The outermost covering of the seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has 2 layers, the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo, consisting of an embryonal axis and 2 cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food materials. At the 2 ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and the plumule. In some seeds such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue and called endospermic seeds. In plants such as bean, gram and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seed and such seeds are called non-endospermous. Structure of monocot seed. Generally, monocot seed are endospermic, but as in orchid are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food. The outer covering of the endosperm separates the embryo by the proteinaceous layer called aleurone layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of a large and shield-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum and a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in sheaths which are coleoptile and coleorhiza respectively. Semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. In a floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C stands for corolla, P stands for perianth, A stands for androecium, G stands for gynoecium, G dash stands for superior ovary, and a G with a bar above it stands for inferior ovary. Fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within the bracket and adhesion by a line drawn above the symbol of the floral part. Description of some important families. Fabaceae. This family was earlier called Papilionidae, a subfamily of family Leguminosae. Vegetative characters. Leaves alternate pinnately compound or simple. Leaf base is pulvinate, stipulate, and venation is reticulate. Floral characters. Inflorescence is racemose. Flower is bisexual and zygomorphic. Calyx, sepals 5, gamosepalous, valvate or imbricate aestivation. Corolla, sepals 5, polypetalous, papilionaceous, consisting of a posterior standard, 2 lateral wings, 2 anterior ones forming a keel enclosing stamen and pistil. Vexillary aestivation. Androecium 10, didelphous, anther diathecus. Gynoecium, superior ovary, monocarpally unilocular with many ovules, style single. Fruit, legume, seed, 1 to many, non-endospermic. Floral characters. तो ये हो गया. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to the family are sources of pulses. Example, gram, arhar, same, moong, soybean. Edible oil, soybean and groundnut. Dye, indigofera. Fibers, sunhemp. Fodder, sesbania trifolium. Ornamentals, lupin, sweet pea. Medicine, muletti. Solanaceae. It is a large family commonly called as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics and even temperate zones. Vegetative characters. Plant mostly herbs, shrubs and rarely small trees. Stem herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branch solid or hollow, hairy or glabrous. Underground stem in potato, Solanum tuberosum. Leaves alternate, simple, rarely pinnately compound, exstipulate, venation, reticulate. Floral characters. Inflorescence solitary, axillary or cymose as in Solanum. Flower bisexual, actinomorphic. Calyx, sepals 5, united, persistent, valvate aestivation. Corolla, petals 5, united, valvate aestivation. Androecium, stamens 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium, bicarpellary, obligated, placed, syncarpous. Superior ovary, which is bilocular. Placenta, swollen with many ovules, axile. Fruits, berry or capsule. Seeds, many, endospermous. Floral formula, Economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family are source of food. Example, tomato, brinjal, potato. spice, chili, medicine, belladonna, ashwagandha, fumigatory tobacco, ornamentals, petunia. Liliaceae, commonly called as the lily family, is a characteristic representative of monocot plants distributed worldwide. Vegetative characters: perennial herbs with underground bulb, corm, rhizome, leaves mostly basal, alternate linear, extubulate with parallel venation. Inflorescence solitary cymos, often umbellate clusters. Flowers bisexual, actinomorphic, perianth, tepal 6, 3+3, often united into tube, valvate aestivation. Androecium, stamen 6, 3+3, epitepalous. Gynoecium, tricarpellary, syncarpous, ovary superior, trilocular with many ovules, exile placentation. Fruit, capsule, rarely berry. Seed, endospermous. Economic importance: many plants belonging to this family are good ornamentals. Tulip gloriosa, source of medicine, example aloe. Vegetable, example asparagus, and colchicine, Colchicum autumnale.